Now, if we humans could just adapt back to our ancestors' way and saying all our resources are only to be used for survival, we could restore the planet. But we don't. We use our resources for pleasure. So we get obese, we get drunk, we get addicted to drugs, we get addicted to pornography, we get addicted to movies, we get addicted to series, we get addicted to Netflix. And we get to this point where we are so disconnected from this reality and this life and this world, and we don't realise that anything above and beyond utilitarian need is undoubtedly destroying the planet without a necessity, because the happiness that we seek from external objects, for all we can say it is our human right to seek them, I would say that it's a stronger man who can find happiness without them. If you can sit down here and bring as much joy to yourself as what you get from blasting a Ferrari up the road, coming from someone who used to drive sports cars quite regularly, someone who owned a lot of sports cars, and I used to take pleasure from driving them hard. But what I came to the conclusion was I'm always enslaved to the producer of a car, I'm always enslaved to the production of the petrol for some joy. This doesn't, for me, make me a strong human being, so I wanted to detach from that. I had drug addictions. I wanted to detach from those because they were a way for me to have a dependence on something for my happiness. And I faced what I must. And to face what you must, I think there's an inevitable need to go at it alone. And to sit alone in nature or lock yourself in the room until you've got a goal, a life plan, and the discipline over yourself to be able to do it, including the ability to cultivate your own joy instead of needing addictive substances, etc. to do it.
We are children of her ancient secrets, her power and her mystic ways. No matter where we go, we never leave her. Our mother, 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 our mother.
Hey guys, as you can see, I am no longer 100% bed-bound. I'm still bedridden about 20 hours at least a day, but slowly this intravenous antibiotic is helping. That and the herbal protocol, I presume, as well, of course, I should add. And I'm doing glutathione pushes and high-dose intravenous vitamin C every day. It's all working. And I've got a little bit of energy to come just in the car and sit in where I belong, in nature. Now, Feathersdale is situated in a forest anyway, but it's also where we work and live, and there's so many people there. You can't really sit anywhere without someone wanting your attention for some reason or another. It's very, very stressful due to that. So it's nice to get out and come and sit here. But I've had a bit of a surprise, sadly, not a good surprise, upon coming here. All of this area, this whole valley is the valley that is under our protection. Now, all of this area here has been cleared and prepared for someone to grow maize. Now, I know the family in question who were going to do this, and the only other time I've been to this forest in the last 2 months, I got severely sick when I did, and I wished I hadn't. But when I was here, I found some workmen and a man here who were clearing all of this, and I said, I had a conversation with them, but I was sick, so I sent a member of staff and we got to the point where we said, look, whatever you think you might get from trying to grow maize down here, which won't be a lot because there's a huge troop of monkeys just in front of me, they just decimate everything. You don't get a good yield down here, but they just want to try and make a bit extra money. I said, I'll give you maize from my farm in compensation for this, and then you don't clear it and I'll plant trees. And I said, but in cutting down all these trees, you're reducing the yield of the land anyway, and this is a problem. People are not educated on how it works. But I tell you, one of the main problems that I'm seeing is that despite all of the environmental efforts we can make around the planet, there's still a core problem in the beating heart of all of these, and that is the expression of the lower nature of man. And I'm back to this again. because it's a huge problem on the planet. You can go around educating people and teaching people to tread carefully on the planet and so on and so forth. But if they harbour a demon, and by demon I mean if they harbour an addiction. I know many affluent people here with serious alcohol problems, and they cut down trees, they break up the nature so they can get stones to sell for gravel, they open up their land for quarrying, and they're not using the money for survival, they're using it for alcohol to try and make themselves happy. And obviously we all know it's a dead end. You don't get happy from alcohol. And it's a weak human being, and I've said this before, and I hate to be harsh because I'm weak in amongst that. I label myself the same thing. But we as human beings have to stop being weak and start being a bit more courageous. Because the weakness that we express in as I need something that's going to be costly towards nature, the planet, towards the moral code of humankind, towards the detriment of my own moral choices like alcohol. Then if you need something beyond yourself to make you happy, etc., a substance or whatever, then you become in a very weakened state, and the planet is going to suffer for it. And it's parasitic, because it's beyond parasitic, because it's not like a parasite's trying to propagate its species. And now we're at the point where fleshly pleasure has got nothing to do with propagation of species, for all it can lead to that. And it's just become this. It's the bottomless pit, as the Bible calls it. The bottomless pit represents human desire. And human desire is a bottomless pit, and that's why you must cast your lower self into that pit and seal it off and say, no, I don't want you to be dominating my life. Because when you think that someone, right now the planet is suffering, trees are being cleared, so someone can earn money, not for food, but just so they can get drunk or hire a prostitute, then you get to this point where you have to say, well, how are we going to tackle that problem? Well, the only way to tackle that problem is to have a global awareness of the idea that there is a moral, higher human being and a lesser human being. And the lesser human being expresses the impulses of the flesh. And thus, if we made it societally that it was completely unacceptable to be that way, you know, almost in the same way how in the West it's unacceptable for your kids to wear dirty clothes to go outside or to go to school, we say that's completely unacceptable because people will look at me and think, I'm not looking after my children. People should look at one another and say they're expressing the lower nature of themselves. They're out getting hammered on a weekend, sleeping with people. This person's going off to European countries of great poverty so they can hire prostitutes, which is something a lot of men in England used to do, and go on holiday to places where they could do that. And I never went, but I had friends who did it, and it's disgusting when you look back at it. It's just totally vile, but this is the hedonistic way. But it's the expression of the lower self. And just as the Apostle Paul said, I know the things that I should do, and I do them not, for it must be the sin working through me. And what that relates to is this idea. Sin's a tricky topic because a lot of people decide everything is sin and everything is this, and creates far too much oppressive judgment. But let's just look at the sin against the flesh. And the sin against the flesh, the origin of the word sin, is to not be mindful of what you're doing. So thus, if you're getting drunk on alcohol and sleeping around or cheating on your husband or wife or whatever it is you're doing in a non-mindful state, that is a state of sin. Now, as the Apostle Paul said, it's the sin working through me. So with these people, it's the impulse of the flesh which gives way to that label which we call sin, and thus it has to be addressed and tackled. And I've seen people, countless people, who there needs to be a new working system, because you have to admit that, for instance, all of the religions are all lacking something. Christianity has a message of great love and tolerance, but it also has a very overbearing system with regards to what's allowed and what's not allowed, in as it's overbearing because it doesn't give the tools to relinquish these things. And a lot of people spend their whole lives feeling like an absolutely worthless human being because of that, because they keep doing the things over and over that they shouldn't do. But the difference is when you get a human being who does it and doesn't habituate it. So they do it and they know, aha, okay, I've done something that doesn't sit right with my heart, my moral coding. It doesn't sit right with that higher level of human consciousness, as a Christian would call. It doesn't sit right with the guidance of the Holy Spirit. And thus, I need to accept to myself, I do not want to do that. I need to forgive myself. I need to seek forgiveness from God, if that is within side of your sphere of belief and how you operate. And I need to work out a way that I'm not going to do that again, because if it makes me feel that way, obviously I'm not supposed to be doing it based on some deep moral compass within my being and soul. But most people, unfortunately, move away from that to the habituation of sin, the acceptance that these immoral behaviours are okay. So the acceptance, for instance, here, prostitution and alcohol is a big problem. And I've come across, I'm not saying this is one of those instances, by the way, but it just jogs my memory. I've come across many instances of people with farms who are destroying the environment, not for the betterment of their children, not to send them to school, but just to drink alcohol and hire prostitutes. And they've become habituated into it, where they accept it as a normality, but then they go off to church and sing songs on a Sunday. And thus there's a failing inside the system of Christianity that people can keep doing that. And I think there needs to be a tool implemented into that system to teach people how to do it. And fasting is a powerful, powerful tool to realign consciousness, to give you a different perspective on the world, because it brings up humility. It's hard to have an ego and a sense of self when your body's so weak that all you've got is more the song of your heart than your thinking mind. You can't be bothered to think, so you start to attune into the moment better. If you've not fasted, you won't understand, but you should try, because it's worthwhile for the benefits that you receive from it. And I think this has to be addressed. Now, whichever religion you're in, Buddhism gives a good psychological idea about how to overcome that lower nature. Christianity gives this idea that you should be in service to others, and I absolutely feel the highest form of religion, in my experience in life, has been service to others. Sitting, meditating alone, I can stay in a very non-egoic place by doing that, and I can stay in a very centered place, but it's false and fake because I'm an active person. I've got a big family to care for, and that's not real. So I find that in serving people, I forget myself because there's a desperation for the persons involved. You know, we had a child brought to us, a baby with no name this week. A very powerful, compelling thing when there's a baby with no name and you're sending messages and emails to different organizations asking if they can help out. And you're talking about a life, an innocent little life, and you forget yourself. Your ego passes. It just passes beyond there. But then on the other side of things, when your temple, your body is in discomfort. Now, I've been in chronic pain now for over a year, so my muscles are always in pain. It's very hard for me to find my center due to that. But it's attuning my ability and skills at the same time to be able to do that in future, to overcome that in future, whatever I might face. Got a lot of ants on me. A bit disconcerting. I'm in a lot of pain, so I can sense that I am falling more into my carnal mind, and I sense, for example, that the more pain I'm in and the more sick I am, the more appealing things like sex become, because they give you some temporal relief where you're like, oh, because you have a release, of that nice energy, whereas it's hard to get that energy going when you're sick and in pain all the time. And thus, when other people's temples are wounded and hurt, for instance, if you're an alcoholic, or if you are having to pay for sex, etc., what's that doing to the person's soul? It's highly, highly corrosive to their well-being that they're doing that, because you're telling yourself internally, I'm only worthy of being able to pay for sex, nobody actually wants me. And then you're also obviously telling yourself, everyone knows deep down in the moral coding that this is incorrect behavior. And then after that, you have this other problem of alcoholism, addiction, and of course that rips people out of their center too, and they end up needing more and more and more. So the more in pain the temple is, then the more likely people are to express themselves into the carnal mind, and into the lower nature, and into addiction, and into destructive behaviors for self, other, and the environment. So there has to be some system in place, a system where society frowns upon people embracing their lower nature instead of promoting hedonistic lower nature behavior, because it's not doing anything good for anybody. We can see it. How many failed marriages have failed because of alcoholism? How many children grow up with separated families because people were out getting drunk and their impulses got the better of them? All of these things weaken your armor, your spiritual armor, all of these stimulants, etc. How many families were wrecked because instead of sitting, talking, getting to know each other and bonding deeper and deeper daily, everyone just sat and watched TV all the time, and it leads to a destructive aspect of the equation of the family that you're in. The family life becomes weakened from it. And thus, we need to start seeing this change somehow, I feel, on the planet, that first of all, somehow to make the whole of society globally understand that the expression of the lower nature of man is a despicable act. It's normal, it happens. People will argue that it's their right to be hedonistic and so on and so forth, but we just say, well, let's find where the productivity is for the planet, and let's decide if we want to keep pursuing the road that we're on, whereby hedonistic things are acceptable and promoted and completely normal, or do we want to start pursuing a different road where we create a new construct in society? Just the same as you can't send a child to school in dirty clothes in the West, is the example I'm going back to. Likewise, people would look at you and say, what the hell are you doing? Are you looking after that child? It should be the same. If you see somebody who is using pornography, getting drunk, taking drugs, they should be looked down upon and say, what are you going to do to your child? Or what example are you going to set for your child? And some families do look down on that behaviour, but most don't. Most are far too liberal. And this is the liberal attack of the Luciferian establishment in my eyes as well, because the more you look at it, the more you see the damage that the liberal mindset is bringing, because it's been hijacked. I'm quite liberal in myself, but there has been a hijacking of liberalism on this planet, without a doubt. Everybody's just fighting for anything, just completely meaningless as well, a right to protest, for example. There's all these liberals protesting everything, but they never change anything because they just have a right to protest. They just have a right to feel like they're trying to change something. So, all that leads from seeing this, because I know that this is part of the battle. I can teach people all day long. I can provide a way to protect this forest, which we are, by using bees and beehives, and it'll also allow us to keep other wildlife interactions under control around new tree seedlings that we're growing, etc., to restore the environment. But if I can see, that as I progress through this, that there will be people that rise up who have alcohol problems or are desperate for money for the wrong reasons, and put that over everything. Now, if they're desperate for money to provide for their kids, I've got no qualm with it, and I understand that. And that's why I want to restore this forest, to show people who have hungry children, you can use this land that you own, that you're just destroying, to provide for your family. But I can see that all the way up this valley, people are going to be coming, and they're going to be causing problems. And I know the world of trying to protect the environment would be a much more beautiful and easy one if mankind looked down upon the aspect in the expression of the lower nature of man. Because there's nothing more powerful than group shaming to change things. There was a point where there was a majority who were racist on the planet inside the Western developed systems that we're in. But then at the same time, eventually that majority became a minority, and some of them stayed with their views, but most people succumbed to the crowd because the shame of it was too much to bear. And wouldn't it be interesting if we could bring not a shame on people having these natural behaviours, but a shame on the people who allow them to become their full expression of life? Because believe me, if you meet a true human being, a true hunter-gatherer, etc., where they are having to seek for their food all day long, they have families that they're providing for, caring for, protecting, they've got no time to go and express the hedonistic nature of themselves. And that's because they're using all their resources for survival. Now, if we humans could just adapt back to our ancestors' way in saying all our resources are only to be used for survival, we could restore the planet. But we don't. We use our resources for pleasure. So we get obese, we get drunk, we get addicted to drugs, we get addicted to pornography, we get addicted to movies, we get addicted to series, we get addicted to Netflix. And we get to this point where we are so disconnected from this reality and this life and this world, and we don't realise that anything above and beyond utilitarian need is undoubtedly destroying the planet without a necessity, because the happiness that we seek from external objects, for all we can say it is our human right to seek them, I would say that it's a stronger man who can find happiness without them. If you can sit down here and bring as much joy to yourself as what you get from blasting a Ferrari up the road, coming from someone who used to drive sports cars quite regularly, someone who owned a lot of sports cars, and I used to take pleasure from driving them hard. But what I came to the conclusion was I'm always enslaved to the producer of a car, I'm always enslaved to the production of the petrol for some joy. This doesn't, for me, make me a strong human being, so I wanted to detach from that. I had drug addictions. I wanted to detach from those because they were a way for me to have a dependence on something for my happiness. And I faced what I must. And to face what you must, I think there's an inevitable need to go at it alone. And to sit alone in nature or lock yourself in the room until you've got a goal, a life plan, and the discipline over yourself to be able to do it, including the ability to cultivate your own joy instead of needing addictive substances, etc. to do it. Because then when we get to that place, we can start taking other types of joy. For instance, I'm going to take great joy in replanting all of this area and watching it grow over the next few years. And it's a joy that I wouldn't have been able to take when I was drinking alcohol and chasing girls. I guarantee it was just my nature. Now, I'm not saying everybody's like that. I'm sure there are permaculture people out there who drink alcohol and chase girls left, right and centre. But for me personally, I'm able to be more dedicated and focused on the work that I want to do because I spent that initial time alone. And I ended up just sitting alone, and I was bombarded by my mind picking up on this thought train, that thought train, for years on end. And it still does it to me now, especially now I'm sick. But I've got more control over it than I've ever had in my life. And me being sick is just another way to hone that skill. And in my own experience, if I can get to that place, then I think others can too. Because there's nothing special about me. I think it's just a growth and development of consciousness. And thus, we must find a system that the lower nature of man is liberated. And the higher qualities are the things that we all aim toward. And in some degree, I think society's trying to do that. But it's not really working out as well as it should at the moment. I'm sure we can all agree on that as well. Right, that's all. How do we protect the planet? Transform humans. As John the Baptist shouted, metanoia. Transform yourself. And I think that's the only hope we've got now. I really do. God bless. I'm going to go and enjoy my time with this huge troop of monkeys that's mooching around in front of me.